Well, hello and welcome to Betuor Gripley's What to Farm Guide Lego Legacy Heroes Unboxed. And this is sort of also a little bit of a beginner's guide. I'll probably make one later that covers some more basics for the actual game. But I just see some of these questions get asked fairly frequently on the Discord about what is recommended to farm early on. And I kind of want to put my own 2 cents in there. A little bit more of an updated list too, because some of these lists are from like 2020. Though, to be fair, not too much has changed, but I do want to do one that's a little bit more updated. So we're going to start off, we're going to go over here to our heroes section. Kind of scares me how much it lagged there, clicking on that. But we're going to start off with the first team you are going to want to farm will be Pirates. Now, for this team, you will specifically want to farm 5 Buccaneer heroes, which are the actual like pirates of the faction. None of these Imperials over here. Even one of them at previous time was pretty good, they're not really that great to farm early on. So the ones you'll want to focus on early on are Darwin, Princess Argenta, Cookbot, Scarlet, and Captain Redbeard. Captain Redbeard you get from doing your daily missions. You get 3 tiles of him a day, so it is a set amount of time it takes to gear him up, or star him up, gear him up is something different in this game. And I believe that's the only way to get him. There might be a bundle, or there could be a time quest or something that maybe gives tiles of him. I think there was like one way to kind of speed it up extra quicker at one point, but basically as long as you play the game, you'll get him maxed eventually. Darwin is an easy one to get early on in some campaign nodes. He's very basic. He's like the weakest one you'll have on this team, but he's an easy enough one to get you a 5th pirate. Then you of course have Bot. You can get him from Piptown United. The second map, so still also pretty early. You also get it from the Mashup Store. Scarlet, I believe they reworked the game after I started playing. They give you her at 3 stars to start off with now, so she starts off pretty decent. Back in my day, you got her at 1 star. You had to get those extra 30 tiles the hard way. But you can get her from the Piptown United very early on, map 2, and you also get her from map 5. There's also a Monolith Waste node at the very end map, though probably by that time they'll be kind of past her. You can also get it from the Mashup Store, that I probably recommend getting bought over her. And then finally you have Scarlet. You will want to buy her from the Arena Store. She is like the #1 pick to get from there. 2 alternatives I do want to mention. There is Castaway Hank, which you could get him from the Brickspedition Store if you want to. He is kind of a replacement for Darwin in this team. He's just a much slower farm because Brickspedition takes a while. There's only so much you can do of that per day. It's a lot harder, I'd say, to get him from here than to get Scarlet from the Arena Store. There's also York. York will work on both a pirate and a castle team, so he's kind of decent to get. He's just, I think, mostly limited to some time quests and I think maybe Arena Store. I think he got added in there at some point, but like you have a lot more better exclusive stuff in the Arena Store to get. So I don't rate him too highly, but he's another option you might can consider that works for 2 teams. Why would you want to get Pirates? Well, Pirates gives you the weekly gold challenge, which is going to be your main source of gold income in this game, so you will want to do that. You need 7-star figs to be able to do the last node of that. I think each node is another star requirement, so 1 star, 2 stars, so forth. And each one gets you more and more gold each week. And I think this last one's up to 350,000 gold each loot. You can loot it 3 times, so a decent chunk of gold each week you get from that, from just starting up Pirates, and they're a good early team to go for. The set you will want to go for with them is Forbidden Island. The Raft Raider works pretty decently. It's just as soon as you get the option to get Forbidden Island, it's best to change on over. It really makes Redbeard scary because it gives him a chance to retaliate 3 times anytime any pirate fig is attacked, so it's just very scary. He can disarm figs, apply some time bombs, it's overall very scary. Just look into his face right now. I know that's the face of death early on in this game. The next team you will want to go for is Castle. This is kind of a similar reason to the Pirates figs, but this one gets you scrolls from the scroll challenge, which you'll need them to level up. Not that big of a deal early on. Gold's a little bit more of a crunch, but as you get to much later in the game, it gets way more costly in scrolls, and you start to run out of them fairly quickly, so you will want good, solid Castle figs, but get you some more scrolls. Now the 5 I would recommend going for here, so this one's a little bit more iffy, is you have Magisto, you have Just a Go-Go, you have Barnabas, Master Barnabas, you have Princess Berta, and as the extra fig, I would recommend Brutus. He is a solid 5th, though I also say maybe go for York. He's also a little bit hard to get, or Headley. Headley is decently available, and he might be a really good 5th one to go for early on and let you get some other things first. Now, I recommend these because Magisto, he's kind of the core to most not spooky Castle teams. He's like the core to the King's Court team, which is an early game Castle team that will also serve you pretty well. Can kind of work around somewhat the same time as the Pirate meta in Arena, even though the Pirates are better. You can beat them with a full King's Court team. It just takes some decent skill to do so. Magisto, you also only get relief from achievements. I think there was one time quest that gave some of his tiles. The other thing to mention with Magisto, he's maxed at 6 stars right now. There's not enough achievements to actually get him to 7 stars. So if you want to do that last node of the scroll challenge, which is similar to the Pirate one, where you need to have 7-star figs, you will need somebody else other than Magisto at 7 stars. So Castle's a little bit tricky here. You'll want to alternate some things in and out. That's why I say Headley. Headley is kind of a bottom tier fig, but he's one you can get very easily. He's on Glyph Hunt map 2, so he's very early on in the campaign. You start getting him fairly quickly. Go-Go's only available at map 4 in Piptown United, so much further in. Also a little bit harder to get. At one point he was available in Monolith Waste. He isn't now. There is, I think, a couple other little places you can get him, but you'll mostly want to be farming that node for him. Barnabas is also available in map 4 and 5 of Glyph Hunt, so also another one a little bit of a later game fig. Though if you get a good Pirate team, you can probably progress fairly quickly through Glyph Hunt, so you can actually get to those nodes and start farming him up for the Glyph Hunt. The Piptown United campaigns. This is 2 separate campaigns. Pirates are good in one, Castle's good in the other. Verda is also a little bit later in Glyph Hunt, map 4 as well. Brutus is only available in the Arena Store and through some maps and Bricks Edition. I think there's also like a weekly challenge. You can get some tiles of him if you get far enough in, but that one's a little bit weird. I think you have to have 6-star or 7-star Builder or Explorer figs. There's like 2 different ones, one for Explorer, one for Build. I don't know which one's which, but they do require like high star figs of each. A little bit funky, but you can increase some of your weekly income of him. Like you'll eventually reach a point where you get good income of him. He's just a little bit slower, and you do want to get Scarlet over him in the Arena Store, though we will go over that a little bit more later. York, as I mentioned before, same way to get him, so he's also a little bit of a weird one. And that's really the figs I would recommend early on for Castle. As you can see, there's a lot of other ones here, though some of these are definitely a lot harder to get. That top row up there, Ghost. Also Storm. Storm's also a little bit harder to get too, so there's a little bit of a weird faction here, though you will want to do this to get you scroll income. Scrolls don't really become that big of a deal till a little bit later in the game, past coins really being a challenge, but it's good to go ahead and get a good solid team there. so you can go ahead and get maximum scroll income. I went ahead and did that fairly early on. I went castle over pirates, so I was able to do it fairly quickly, though doing so made it a little bit harder with the coins. But even like I myself get running a little bit low on scrolls at this point, even being a pre-day one player, getting maximum scroll income a week. The third most important team, I would say, is the city team. This will really complete all the stuff you would need for like your core teams, I would say. This gets you, I think it's called missing materials. It's a weekly challenge that gets you set tools and elixirs. Elixirs are used to upgrade abilities of figs. Set tools are used to upgrade abilities of sets. So yeah, they're both kind of important. It's really nice to go ahead and get a little bit more of those so you can start leveling up some of your roster a little bit more. Those become very hard to get, or not too hard to get later on. It just requires a lot of upgrade, like a fig recently, and I think I used like 250 tier 3 elixirs on them. So you'll really want to start boosting your income of these fairly quickly, especially with the newer stuff costing more elixirs than the previously released stuff. This is only going to go more and more in cost. For this team though, I would recommend Chef, Street Sweeper, sounds like his name's left off here, Firefighter Ash, a Arctic Explorer Aurora, and also Businessman Trent with a swap out of Officer Primo if you have them. Officer Primo is a master fig. You have to unlock them by completing his master event to actually be able to unlock him. The node requirements for the final unlock node for him is a full 5-star 5 castle figs. So all 5 figs in castle are 5-star plus a 5-star castle set. So if you do have that, which you might get if you did the previous step, he's kind of a replacement for Businessman Trent, though I think Businessman Trent will perform all the needs you really need of a city fig right now. There might be some more replacements soon. Hopefully City's getting an update. But both of those, for most things besides late game node locks on some events, you don't really need Officer Primo, though City isn't really used that often. As for Ash, he's only available in the Arena Store. Aurora is available Glyph Hunt Map 5 and Pit Town United Map 3. A little bit of a later game fig to get, though there's also available in the Holiday Break Brick Pace, which is a really good place. I'd recommend getting her early on. Her and Yeti. Yeti is exclusive to that event, though she's, I think, much more useful than Yeti. That is a good place to go and farm her. I would recommend. Sao is Monolith Waste Map 1, so very easy to get. Shep is Monolith Waste Map 3. And Trent is Monolith Waste Map 2, so all 3 of them are available in Monolith Waste, so it's a good thing to spend your energy on in there. Really is kind of all who you want to go for, though. Those are the 5/6 I would personally recommend. Best set at this time to go for is Arctic Ice Glider. The other ones don't really do that much. Arctic Ice Glider refreshes Arctic Explorer Aurora's revive cooldown, so it's really good to go for. Also, I forgot to mention, for the castle team, the 2 best sets there, all 3 sets are really good. Guided In is a good early game set, though afterwards, later game, you would either branch off probably to Magistro's Tower. It works best, I think, with the majority of castle figs, or Trader Transport if you go a little bit more of a spooky castle route. So Castle is one of the few factions, or maybe the only faction I would say, who like all the sets are pretty good. City isn't one of those. City has like 1 good set and that's it. And then that's really the core of the teams I would recommend farming early on, though I would say a good in-game team to work towards is you will want to get Classic Space. Classic Space is supposedly supposed to be getting nerfed at some point soon, and we'll have to wait to see to really how much that actually takes effect. Apparently the new collectible meta team is beating them out. And if you want, I guess really at the time of recording this, because it does seem like each new thing is getting released is probably going to be the next meta. I would say go for collectibles at this time if you want the current like in-game meta. Though the reason I would recommend Classic Space is at least unique with having their figs a little bit more spread out. Reed, you can get him in Monolith Waste Map 1, so he's a pretty easy one to get. I think he's also available in some stores. I would say get other things instead. Also, you don't really need to get Reed too quickly given how hard it is to get some of these other figs. Though the other figs, Gens, is available in the Master Store, which is what happens when you get a fig to 7 stars and get more tiles of them. They transfer into Master Tiles and use them to buy stuff from that store, like Gens. And he's also available from the Techie All-Star, which I think the Techie All-Star is the easiest one of them to do. You get a couple of tiles from him whenever that pops back up. Probably not enough to be super meaningful, but it's a way to help out a little bit with him. Alan and Leo are both available in the early adopters brick pace. Fairly near the end, you need to get Blacktron Dwayne, Blacktron Quincy, and the Alpha Centauri Outpost, I believe. All up pretty high in star level. I think maybe at least to 5 stars to be able to get to Alan. You get Alan to 5 stars to be able to get to Leo. It's a little bit of a process, but they are at least available somewhere else. And Andreas is available in the Holiday Break brick pace. Not at the very end. I think you really only need Sketty and the other chill figs, and the other chill figs are available outside of that brick pace. That might sound very hard to get these. The only reason I'm kind of recommending these still as a good sort of team to farm is they're a little bit more spaced out and where you can get them. The collectibles that I mentioned that are more meta, all, let's see, 4 of the 5 of them are all available from the collectible brick pace. Some of the Ninjago, I think 3 of the more meta Ninjago figs are all available from the same brick pace. Oh, plus the set for both of them are available in their own brick pace. This set is available regularly throughout the campaign. I think it's at the very end of the campaign. But hey, it's one you can farm up outside of the event. The issue with some of the other teams, and I think the way going forward, is when they update an event and add more stuff into it, all of the stuff related to that sort of type will be within that same event. So these can at least be gotten in separate events and separate methods, which I think will actually speed up the ability to be able to actually get them, since you're able to get them from multiple different things. You don't have to wait for one exact event to be reran. But that's really it for the characters. I think those 3 teams at the very beginning will get you off to a good start. That team will be a decent one to walk towards, but like the meta is like ever evolving, kind of, depending on what new stuff they add in. So we're going to move over to shop. We are going to start off down here at Arena, because I did these backwards apparently. The order I would recommend getting the stuff in here is Scarlet is the #1 fig you'll want to get. She is exclusive to this event or this store. I think she might be available in a little bit of another event or something, but those events have exclusive figs that are much more needed than her, or I would rather get them over her who's available elsewhere at other times. Option 2 kind of depends on you. I have it kind of tied between Ash and Brutus. Brutus will help out a lot with the castle team. I don't know why I went back up there. Ash will help out a lot with a city team. Both are really good. It kind of depends on what you're going for next. If you are going for castle, I would say Brutus. If you're more interested in going city, I would say Ash. It's really up to you there. Then option 4, I would say go Lloyd. Lloyd is a core part of at least early Ninjago teams. He's the only thing they have close to a tank. He's not that good now. He doesn't dodge too much. So he does take all the heat on himself and dies fairly quickly because he's meant to dodge the attacks instead of actually taking the damage himself. but you will need him to actually pull a Ninjago team together if you want to go towards that. And hey, if you really want to go towards Ninjagos, go ahead. Feel free to not listen to any of this stuff. It does depend on what keeps you most invested in the game. What would keep you playing the most? If Ninjagos would keep you playing the most, I would say go for them. They do sort of beat pirates. Not as good as they used to. They used to be a super hard counter to them. Now they're just kind of a counter. But it might be a smart idea to go them early on. Go ahead and swap off of pirates, at least in arena, to Ninjago. So you can go ahead and start getting more arena currency. And that helps your Lloyd farms, your Scarlet farms, all that. That's kind of interesting with Lloyd and Scarlet. Both of them will help you decently in arena. So if you go Scarlet and build up a good, strong pirate team, gain rank in arena, then you're able to get more arena currency to buy more Scarlet tiles. So it kind of depends on what you want to do. But if running pirates kind of bores you, you rather run Ninjago, he's not a bad swap over. And then the fifth one I have is Valiant. Valiant's, he's a pretty good fig. He's just here because he's a pirate fig and he's a pirate tank, and you already got the pirate tank of Scarlet that works better with Buccaneers, which is the better pirate team. Imperials is good, but Imperials is fairly late game since most of their figs are locked behind one brick pace. Non-Search, Slay, Governor, Rita, and Ernest are all locked to that one brick pace. That just leaves you LaQuay and Valiant, so you're not really going to be doing an Imperial team. So I kind of have him down here at the bottom, but those are really the only exclusive figs. The other figs can all be gotten somewhere else or aren't really that good. After that, I would say probably come down here and buy these apples. These are really hard to get. You only can get them from special events and some stores. The other similar styled gear pieces can be farmed. These cannot, so it's a good thing to come down here and farm them. This other gear, if any of it is also useful, is also decently worth farming, though I would say only get that stuff after you get these exclusive figures. The next store that we are going to cover is the Guild Store. The Guild Store is a little bit of an interesting one. You need a really good guild to be able to kind of do well in here, though. A good guild's kind of a little bit iffy. If you want a good guild, I would say joining the Classic Community Alliance. It's the guild I'm in. I'm the founder of the guild. If you want some late game players that don't mind having some new players come in, you can use our shared figures. Feel free to join that one. It will probably always at least have a couple of slots open if you want to get into a new newbie friendly guild. Also has a Discord. Just message me on Discord if you want an invite to it. Feel free to hop in there, though you can also hop into my regular channel Discord and we can just do the guild stuff over there. But my recommendations, what to get here, is Lego House. Lego House #1. It works for lots of teams. It's used for the anti-classic space team currently. It's I guess technically the Easter Chicks used for the new collectible meta team, but you can also use this for some of the collectible stuff. It works for lots of good things. It's needed for the event running right now with the new collectible meta stuff in it, so it'd be nice to go ahead and have this sort of maxed out for when you need it. You'll go ahead and have it, and it's another city/collectible option, so it works fairly decently. It's also, I wouldn't say the only exclusive thing here. I think there's still a couple other exclusive things. They've changed some of the other stuff to be available elsewhere. But the next thing I would recommend farming is Spooky Girl. A little bit situational. But let's get you another Spooky fig. She's pretty decent. She works very well in a Spooky team. Could help you with the Spooky Alpha. I believe she's been made available in Monolith Waste since the last update or something. At that point, I've already had it maxed out, so I don't really remember it too well where she's located. I think I had to buy her all through this, basically. So this is what stands out to me with her. The third option is Princess Storm, which I think is a little bit low down. Yeah, Princess Storm. A good castle fig, a really cool one. It's just she doesn't have the tags really to make her good. She's not King's Court. She's not spooky. She's not spooky army. So even though she is or was exclusive to. I know for sure she's in Monolith Waste, the new map 5 for it, because I finished farming her off there. You just don't really have a place where you need to use her, or she's that useful. And then the last one I'd really recommend farming from here is Miner Clay. He is, I believe, still exclusive to this store. He's a decent city attacker. He might work as a replacement for Primo or Trent. It's just for the longest time he was exclusive to here and wasn't really that good compared to the other exclusive figs. So just nobody really got him. He might be a good one to recommend going for, but I still think Lego House supersedes all that. As for which thing to go for after Lego House, I really say depends. Do you want a spooky fig, do you want a castle fig, or do you want another city fig? The other stuff here can be got elsewhere, can be got elsewhere, can be got elsewhere, lots of different places, can be got elsewhere, can be got elsewhere, and can be got elsewhere. It's just kind of once you've got done farming the stuff that's a little bit more exclusive to here, go ahead and start farming the other stuff. Granted, you could come down here and buy some tier 3 elixirs. I think it swaps out with tier 3 set tools as well. There might be a good decent one to farm, but I'm just going in here and slowly farming Gilpy from here instead of actually farming him from his node, because I don't really have anything else really worth farming in here. Then the next store we're going to be going into is the Mashup Store here. The Mashup Store I have recommend farm. I'd recommend first going Bach. I think he's a little bit more useful. Argenta's also really useful, but I think it's better to farm her node than it is to say farm his node. So buying him in here I think is a little bit better. Then Argenta, these are kind of like swap out. It's just Pirate is a very useful early game team. I would probably also recommend farming them out like star for star, like getting them both equal, then go for Bot to the next star, then come back and get Argenta up to the next star, something kind of like that. And then I'd recommend getting Chef. Chef's a really good city healer. He's one of my 5 recommended city figs. So I'd definitely say go ahead and get him early on from in here. He does add lots of extra good sustain to your team as well. Verda is another one I recommend getting. She's more available elsewhere than Chef is, so I would say to actually get her after getting him, because you can farm her. She's the least useful of the core King's Court Castle team, but you do kind of need her to complete the 5-piece set of 4 King's Court for the full speed boost. So I would say get her here then I would say get Zane. He's used for both Ninjago and Chill teams, so it's good to go ahead and get him. He's just fairly available elsewhere. Everybody else is just kind of a lot more available. Businessman Trent, Hot Dog Soup Man, even Reed, although Reed, somebody you might could get 6 because he's useful for classic space and I guess an early space team as well. The only real issue with farming him from here is you will get him to like max stars before you have the rest of the team to actually be able to use it with. So he's kind of a little bit more of a later thing. The Brickspedition store is up next. From here, this is my own personal recommendation. Other people say otherwise. But I would recommend getting the Dojo set. It's a really good Ninjago set. I think it's better than the Cyber Dragon. Also, the Cyber Dragon specifically kind of needs DigiJ to be able to work with it. This one does not. This one with all of your Ninjago figures. At the time, I think originally kind of doing this was only 2 Ninjago sets in the game anyways. There's now a 3rd one that's locked also to the DigiJ a bit later in past once you've gotten him. That was probably the best one of all 3 of the sets, but I would still say Dojo is a good early recommendation. Then I would say Tier 3 set tools is probably another good one to go for. Might be a good second one. Go ahead and get some of your core sets on maxed out. Though I wasn't too big on getting Tier 3 set tools early on. I think it worked out decently for me. So I might say this might be a good one to go for next. Especially early on with Expedition, it's still kind of fun, you get a decent bit. 3rd recommendation from here would be Castaway Hank. Mostly because he's exclusive. Everything else isn't exclusive and is honestly available at better stores or better nodes. It's just he's still exclusive to here. It's just a really long farm if you're doing all brick edition to be able to get him up here. So by the time you actually get him to like max stars, you'll probably be moved on from Pirates. So I just really wouldn't recommend this early on. If you want to maybe using Pirates for a long time, he could be a good one to go for. Go ahead and get him maxed out. He might make your Pirates last a little bit longer than having Darwin in that 5th slot. Though at a decent point, you should probably be moving on from Castle or Pirates into maybe a Majestro's Tower sort of set for like mid-game arena. So you probably won't be using him then, but I do want to point him out that he is an exclusive figure, and if you're like me, want to collect everything, he is probably one to kind of go for that one reason. I also really liked him. He's from a set I owned that I thought was pretty cool, so of course I kind of wanted to get more of him. Now, not finally, but the final store we have to go over is the Master Store. My order of farming here would be Jins, Will of the Witch, and Major Kotoski. Jins is just the strongest one of these 3 figs. Is Castle, work for that end-ish game classic space team. I say Castle, he's space, not Castle. Willa is Castle, works good with a spooky and Castle and magical team. Though she works best with Basil the Batlord, who is exclusive to a particular event, so you might not exactly want too much of her till you get a decent one of him to go along with. Major Catastrophe, he is actually my personal favorite of these 3. It's just the other ones do more. You'll be going more towards a classic space team near end game with space, so you won't really be rocking him. And a lot of the newer stuff does what his unique kit did originally, like Spaceman Andreas does a lot of what I used him for, like removing stealth. Andreas removes stealth and gives it to your own people, so like he's kind of better. So this is kind of a little bit outshadowed by newer stuff. After that, all these other options are probably, we'll say these bottom 4. Tier 3 set or Tier 3 ability elixirs are also good to level up stuff, but these are lots more rare. These can be farmed on regular nodes. Fish and binoculars can also be farmed on regular nodes, so it's just not a great drop rate. You need lots of these to do in-game gear pieces. Fancy apples are only available really in stores and some small select nodes, like weekly challenges, so these 2 are a big one to really farm here. Now, finally, to mention here in general, none of these are really that good to buy for gems. Now, some of the things that are maybe event exclusive figures that are a little bit harder to get for 150, like Nonsuch, isn't that bad to get Nonsuch 3 towels for 150. I guess Rita, but Rita's not as useful. So you might could go for there, but really I would say kind of avoid most of these, especially avoid the gear ones. Really just buy this gear stuff up here. It gets you a daily achievement. Unless you stockpile on stuff, you'll get enough gold eventually. Just come in here and just buy everything. So really that's kind of all I recommend doing in the general store. And then we're going to move on over to Brickspedition. Johnny Thunder's Brickspedition, even though you don't actually have Johnny Thunder. As you might be able to tell by me not having done any of it yet, it's not really that fun to do. But early on it gets you a decent bit of stuff. I do want to go over my order or how I'd recommend to farm the stuff from here. Really what you want to do first, your first goal will probably be the sets. There's 5, if I remember correctly, exclusive sets in here. And the order I'd recommend farming them in is Majestro's Tower, Cyber Dragon, Ice Station Odyssey, Eldorado Fortress, and then Firehouse. Though honestly, in like the middle there, either before or after Ice Station Odyssey, I'd recommend farming at least 2 of the figs from here. Those figs being Brutus, and then Bart, I'd probably say go for those. Probably over Ice Station, honestly. Ice Station Honesty. Ice Station Odyssey, honestly. But Majestro's Tower and Cyber Dragon are both a good one to go for, maybe even before that. It's just the other two figs available from here, Trent and Poppy, aren't really that good. It can be farmed elsewhere. I would still say probably recommend going for those sets. Ice Station Odyssey, Firehouse, even though they aren't like that great. Eldorado Fortress, which does work for an Imperials team. It's gonna be a long time to get to an Imperials team. You're only gonna really use it for that Imperials event, most likely. So it's kind of a little bit meh. But be able to get another source of Brutus Tiles early on for as cool of a fig as I think he is, I'd highly recommend coming in here farming that. Bart's also very useful, so getting a little extra tiles for him, though you're probably already farming him elsewhere. That will help out. The sets will give you other options. If you get a bunch of these Cyber Dragons, then you won't really necessarily need to get the Dojo set, though having options is always nice. So yeah, that's kind of my recommendations of what to farm there. And then one last thing I did want to mention is in Monolith Waste, there is 3 nodes I would like to recommend that's really worth farming. Early on, the Hiker node here, with the set tools, with the ability elixirs, and Hiker Tile. Hiker is a good early game fig, even maybe decently to mid game. I mean, with some collectibles, with the right team setups, he works. The tier 1 set tools, of course, help you upgrade your sets, at least your early sets. And it's a good source of them. And the tier 1 elixirs is a good source of elixirs upgrade abilities for your minifigures. Really good node to be farming right here. Then also on map 3, not map 4, the Great White node. While Great White not being too great of a fig, I think he's definitely slept on. I think he's better than most people give him credit for, but he's still not that great. It's an easy fig to get to 7 stars to get lots of extra master tiles. You go ahead and start spending on stuff in the Master Store. It gives you tier 2 set tools and tier 2 ability elixirs. Tier 2 set tools is a real bottleneck. I'd even say they're more of a bottleneck than the tier 3 equivalent, because you don't need as much of them as you do tier 2. And this is, I think, one of 2 nodes that regularly drops them. That's not like a weekly challenge or something. So this is a good one to farm. Get you some master tiles, get you some set tools, and get you some ability elixirs. Also, the Lighthouse set, similar vibes. It just gets you set, which you get to 5 stars, which is max, which actually becomes master tiles sooner. Probably better to farm than Great White's node. I think Great White is at least usable decently. So hey, it's a nice fig. You at least use them getting the 7 stars. But this one allows you to set 5 star, because it's a set. Something else to get master tiles much quicker, get more set tools, and get more ability elixirs. So I just want to point them out as like good ones to sort of farm early on. Though also late game, you do have this node here. It gives you some Scarlet tiles. That's not Scarlet. Argenta tiles, which probably by the point you really get here, you might be kind of moved on from her, not really needing her. But she does get you some tier 3 elixirs. Not the best, because I think the energy cost of these nodes is 12. The map beforehand is better, but this at least gets you some tiles. It gets you some master currency at the same time. These, which are decently cheaper, only get you the ability elixirs, nothing else. Well, I mean, I guess some scrolls, some gold, and all that stuff. That's kind of minimal. There's also this node here. They both give you the tier 3 elixirs. I just don't. There's just nothing else to get from them. But it's just kind of weird. But yeah, really with that, that's all I have to really give advice for early game. I think those 3 early teams will set you off pretty good throughout the game, and then just kind of maybe look at what's meta and what you like and go for that stuff. Lots of the stuff is locked to events, so you kind of can only get the stuff when the event comes around. So maybe just see what you're getting the best luck with there and just go with that. It's really kind of up to you at that point. I might make one for later game, though. If you really have any questions like that, I'd probably say hop on over to my Discord. It should be linked in the description below. and maybe just ask me over there, or you might get asked some of the people over the regular Discord channel. It's iffy. You might get some good advice there. I think there's definitely people with better opinions than mine on there. You just actually have to get them to answer you. So really, with that, I think that's it for this early game. What to farm if you're new, what to prioritize, some of my advice on what to prioritize and what to get from the store. So with that said, this is Betuor Gripley signing off. Goodbye and have a wonderful day, and I hope this video has been helpful.